Hey guys, Peter here. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a while and I'm trying out a new background and I also need a haircut, but it's okay because I have a new video for you today and it's my top 5 medical school interview tips for acceptance. Tip number 1 is to really know your story. And what I mean is to really know what you're going to answer to the questions, why medicine, why this medical school, why not be a researcher or a scientist or even a mid-level provider? You're going to want specific and unique answers to this that stands out from everyone else. You may have several great experiences that you want to share with the interviewers. However, the interview is not really the time to be listing everything you did. You want to pick the experiences where you can really be able to tell a great story along with it. Admins really love cute, charming short stories, so if you get the chance, try to throw in at least one. Definitely practice how you're going to talk in front of a friend, on your own, or even in front of a mirror. You don't necessarily have to have a script ready, but definitely know what topics and points you're going to hit when you're asked these types of questions. So a cool trick that I used that I thought really helped me feel more calm and prepared was having a mental story bank. And what that means is I really reflected on the things I did and any unique or funny stories I had in my life, and I put that in my mind and I used them in case any situational questions were asked. And so I'll give you an example. I actually auditioned for American Idol 3 times and failed all 3 times, but regardless, it was a great experience, something that's a bit unique, a little out of the box. And, I had that experience in my head. And I actually got asked a question during my med school interviews, name a time where you failed at something and how you reacted, how you showed resilience. And the American Idol story popped up first. I tried out for American Idol 3 times. I failed at it, didn't make it past the first round. However, I still enjoy singing and I'm still doing music on the side as a stress reliever along with, all the pre-med stuff going on. And that's a great answer. It's very unique, and it can also answer questions such as name something unique about you, or tell something interesting about yourself. Hey, I auditioned for American Idol 3 times. I like to sing, I like music. So you got to be able to adjust your narrative in order to fit and answer a certain question. And having a certain story bank of certain experiences that you did that you can kind of mold and shape depending on which direction you want to go is really important. That way, you don't have to memorize anything. You just have a general, like what I said before, a bank, and then you can just kind of pick out what you want depending on what the situation calls for. Step number 2, definitely do your research beforehand on the school. Find out if the school is a rural primary care focused school or if it's based in the city. You want to find out what certain buzzwords that these schools like. And so I'll give you an example. One of the schools that I interviewed at was in rural, like middle of nowhere country town. And their key focus was rural primary care. Like that's part of their mission statement. And so when I interviewed, they asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years if you were to attend here? And I made sure to say, I'm very interested in rural primary care. Like that was the buzzwords for that school. And I think they really took that favorably because I ended up getting accepted. But each school is different. You want to find out what the school wants to hear and make sure you say you're interested in it. It's true that you can be interested in it. It doesn't mean you have to pursue it. They're not going to hold your feet to the fire if you get in and say, hey, you said you're going to do primary care during the interview and now you're doing something else. They won't even remember it. So make sure you find out what the buzzwords are for a certain school. Like, for example, if a school is pathway-based learning, which is more group work, then make sure you say, I love to read. Reading. They want to hear the word reading and liking books. And so that's just another tip that I found helps. And also find out if your interview style is open file or closed file. That'll really dictate the types of questions they're going to ask. And whether if it's just one straight interview or if it's an MMI multiple stations, you want to be prepared when you walk in. So make sure you look that up beforehand. Tip number 3, make sure you have all your logistics covered. And medical school interviews is a very expensive process. The whole application process is very expensive. And so you want to make sure that finances are the least of your worries if possible. And what I would do is make sure your gas fees, how you're going to get to the hotel, how you're going to get to the school from the hotel, and how you're going to come back home, all that stuff is covered before you leave. This will really make you feel more prepared for the big day itself, and you won't really have to worry about any logistical problems, and you can focus on answering the questions. Another thing to consider is to make sure you arrive early. And my personal tip would be to arrive 30 minutes early. I found that was a good benchmark to use. Funny enough, I arrived 30 minutes early to every interview I attended. For some of them, I was the first one there, and everyone else arrived on the dot, right on time. And for other interviews, I was the last one there, even being 30 minutes early. So you never know what type of group you're going to get. Being the last one really isn't a great look. It's not going to affect you in any way, but it's just not a great way to start the day. So make sure you arrive at least 30 minutes early. You never know what type of group you're going to get. You might get, fashionably late people, or you might get those type A, high-strung go-getters. So you want to be prepared and you want to feel calm 30 minutes early. All right, guys, tip number 4, be able to read the room. So when you walk in, that's when the staff and everyone starts to really observe you and watch you, even if they're not saying it. And I know that sounds very intense and a bit intimidating, but that's just the reality of the situation. They're going to be watching everything you do, everything you say. So please, please, please be on your best behavior. Be able to read the room means to be able to discern the general tone of the administration, of the current staff, and even of the current students. Is the staff friendly to you? You would think they would be, but some schools, they're not as warm as others. And you want to also look at the current students already there. Are they happy? Do they seem relaxed? Are they crying in the hallways, or do they look really disheveled and haggard? You want to be able to know what type of students go to these types of schools and just feel the general nature of it. I've had interviews where I've gone and we're touring the school, and the students are glaring at us, glaring at the tour groups, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but they glared and just wasn't a good look. And yes, this has really happened, and no, I'm not sharing which school that did this, but regardless, be able to know the general tone. Also, when you walk into the interview room itself, quickly gather your first impressions of the interviewers. Do they seem casual? Are they very strict and stern looking? You want to be able to match their energy however they present. So if they're really energetic and upbeat and they're, cracking jokes, feel free to do so within a professional, boundary, but definitely match their energy. If they're more strict, or, they're like, what's it called? Being a hardhead, like giving you a hard time, then definitely, pull back, be more calm, be more professional, stay away from the one-liners or the witty jokes, and just answer the questions as thoroughly as you can. They're trying to make you feel more stressed out and seeing how you react to these situations. So please, please do not take it personally, and don't be left speechless, or just try not to have any awkward pauses, because they're just trying to see how you react in these situations. Tip number 5, and this is probably the most important: be confident but not arrogant. You guys, I've seen so many kids who, during the interview day, do not talk to anyone, do not talk to the other interviewees or the current students. They don't ask any questions, and this might be because they're shy. And I had a time where we were all eating lunch in the school cafeteria. I was with the other interviewees, and then there's a kid at the end of the table on the corner just eating by himself and not engaging with anyone. And so you don't want to be that kid. Just please, please do not be that kid. It's not a good look. And you would think that when you're with the other interviewees during lunch, you aren't being watched, you can relax. No, you are being watched, like I said. And on the flip side, I've seen kids who are, who act too cool for school. They also don't really interact with other people. They pull out their phones during a presentation. They're always checking their watch. Kind of like the feet up on the table kind of attitude. Also avoid this at all costs. This will get you rejected so quick, guys. So keep that in mind. Be confident. Always be engaged in a conversation or listening to someone have a conversation. Don't just sit there acting like you have nothing to do. This will really reflect badly on you. And that was my top 5. And that was my top 5 tips for medical school interviews. I know I just spewed a lot of information at you, but at the end of the day, if you really think about it, this is just, common social knowledge. I always say if you can get through biochemistry and organic, then you can do this as well. It's not that bad. And just remember, guys, I am on your side. You can do this. I know things are getting difficult and changing with Zoom and Skype interviews possibly coming up in the future rather than in person. But regardless, I'm here for you. If you have any questions, please comment down below. And if you enjoyed what you heard, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace.